So what is the total amount we've appropriated with this extender? What will that?
Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting from the Hesselson studio.
Have you heard about the recent Tesla fire that took place? It took fire departments
Well, good morning and welcome to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Aiken. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. And do we have an exciting show in store for you this morning? Of course we do. In this hour, we're going to hear from the Pregnancy Resource Center of the Valley. That's coming up in just a little bit. In the 7 o'clock hour, we're going to hear a clip from Assemblyman Phil Palmisano about the budget extender, as well as EV bus mandates. And we'll be talking with Chris Callis. Her friend Chris Callis will be joining us to tell us all about the upcoming college fair. Let's first go to some viewer comments before we get into all the breaking news of the day, whether it's Iran, whether it's that gerrymandering in Virginia. Rick writes in, Trump tried to gain access to the nuclear codes this past Saturday because he wanted to use them. General Dan Kane stood up and denied Trump access to the codes. He'll be the next one to get fired. How can people continue to support such a loose cannon like Trump? No, now come on, really. Look at where we're at under Trump. He starts lobbying nuclear weapons. It will be the end of the world as we know it. 25th Amendment, please, before it's too late. So I saw that comment. I said, well, that's interesting. I do a lot of research throughout the day from, I would say, various outlets, from the left to the right, just to be as well prepared for this show as I possibly can be. So I said, boy, that seems like, especially a Drudge Report, CNN, even more left-wing outlets would report on this. So I did a little research, and everything came back, even from what I would say kind of Trump-hating publications, said there's no verifiable evidence, with outlets that would want to run with it. So I said, well, where did this all come from? It was from a podcast where former CIA officer Larry Johnson, back on April the 20th, appeared on Judging Freedom. He alleged that an emergency session at the White House turned confrontational when General Dan Kane, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, reportedly stood his ground against a presidential directive. Well, this seems to fit, and I've said this about the right as well, not just the left. If something conforms to your worldview too perfectly, definitely double, triple verify. And I said, well, Larry Johnson, I know that name. Larry Johnson, the former CIA officer. In recent years, his claims on intelligence matters have drawn scrutiny. Johnson was among the figures linked to a widely disputed 2017 allegation that British intelligence agency, GCHQ, helped the Obama administration spy on Donald Trump's presidential campaign, a claim that was publicly rejected by U.S. and U.K. officials and described in a rare public statement as utterly ridiculous. So and that's even kind of a left talking point. So his credibility, questionable. And I would just urge two things. If something fits your worldview too soundly, take a step back and say, where am I getting this from? Am I getting it from the far left? Am I getting it from maybe people I know on Facebook that are also hateful of Trump? And also I would say, with a level of integrity on a program when it comes to kind of journalism and presenting the facts, I would say that if I were to go on here and to push every conspiracy theory that I saw on Facebook or certain media outlets, I would be without a job very quickly. So again, keeping it up to actual news standards. If you look up nuclear codes and every outlet says there's no verifiable claim, that it's questionable, even from left-wing outlets, I'd say maybe take a step back, take a breather. Okay, comment from a different viewer. Good morning, Frank. Well, good morning, Mark. Well, President Trump extended the ceasefire in Iran, and J.D. Vance canceled peace talks as Iran doesn't want to talk as long as the strait is blocked, and vows to leave the strait blocked until there is a deal. I bet Trump will be called a taco again. Well, it's funny you say that, Mark. Stephen Collinson writes, why Trump's latest blink on Iran could be more than a Taco Tuesday. Yes, taco is now being put in the headlines of the CNN lack of credibility, lack of journalistic integrity that is now a part of the headline. President Trump blinked again. by extending the ceasefire with Iran. So apparently Mr. Collinson, by using the term blink, which is kind of loaded, wants the end to the ceasefire. His critics are mocking another taco, which stands for Trump always chickens out. Tuesday, after the president caved on one more personal red line, days after warning there'd be no more Mr. Nice Guy. But the derision would be more justified if a president risked more Iranian and U.S. lives by doubling down on what looks like an unwise war purely to preserve his tough guy persona. Anyway, we're going to get to more on Iran here in just a little bit. But boy, you know, we talked about those on the left that celebrated or are looking for losses. When it comes to America and Iran, they almost seem giddy when they think they're reporting on something that will damage Trump. That we had that one New York Times reporter, I can't remember his name, who said he doesn't want, and I'm paraphrasing, but he doesn't necessarily want to see the Iran, or doesn't want to see the U.S. win because it would be politically helpful to the president. Then yesterday, and we're going to talk about it a little bit later on, Senator Chris Murphy, celebrated Iran getting through the blockade. It is getting to a weird position where you have people that I think are signaling pretty clearly they don't want any sort of win. They're ignoring the actual wins that we have. They're highlighting what they believe to be damaging to President Trump. And they're doing so in a way that is, well, we had that piece. Who was it? I can't remember who wrote it. Maybe it was Liz Peek. Does the left and the media hate Trump so much, and I'm paraphrasing this too, hate Trump so much that they want to see us lose in Iran? I think that's at this point a fair question. But we're going to talk about it in a little bit. First, Virginia voters narrowly approved the gerrymandered congressional maps, boosting Democrats' chance of retaking the House. The aggressive gerrymandering measure, which could net Democrats 4 congressional seats, passed in a 51 to 48% vote. The referendum is expected to result in a dramatic power swing, potentially giving Democrats control of all but one of the state's 11 congressional seats next year. When you only have one, you know that's heavily gerrymandered, because at that point, you made a district that's probably Republican for life, and all the rest Democrats. Virginia's congressional delegation currently breaks 6-5 in favor of Democrats, but the new map aims to shift it to a 10-1 split. Republicans have attacked the bizarre district boundaries in the new map as an attempt to silence conservatives in a state that Kamala Harris won with just under 52% of the popular vote. National Republican Congressional Committee Chairman Richard Hudson argued the close margin Tuesday night reinforces that Virginia is a purple state that shouldn't be represented by a severe partisan gerrymandering. Virginia Democrats can't redraw reality, Hudson said. The congressman noted lower courts ruled twice to block this erroneous power grab before the Virginia Supreme Court allowed the referendum to take place while considered the legality of the maps. Quote, even under this map, Republicans will hold our majority based on our record cleaning up Democrats' mess and a historic war chest to litigate the Democrats' failures. Former President Barack Obama is being ridiculed for congratulating Virginia, quote, for standing up for democracy. So gerrymandering the whole map so there's only one Republican congressional district is standing up for democracy. It is interesting how the left defines democracy, isn't it? They're fighting for democracy while they won't let their own party vote on their presidential candidate, while they try to keep a presidential candidate off the ballot in Donald Trump. Obama wrote, congratulations, Virginia. Republicans are trying to tilt the midterm elections in their favor, but they haven't done it yet. Thanks for showing us what it looks like to stand up for our democracy and fight back. So they're defending democracy. They're fighting for democracy by gerrymandering the maps to cheat the voters from an actual say. Former Trump administration official Tricia McLaughlin wrote, disenfranchising millions of voters and forcing 45% of Virginians to be represented by one congressional district and 55% represented by 10 is now, quote, standing up for democracy. Is that equity? What a farce. Michael Knowles interpreted and paraphrased Obama as saying, "Congratulations, Virginia. You just disenfranchised virtually every Republican at the congressional level. Democracy." From Turning Point USA, Savannah Hernandez said, "Every time a Democrat says they're fighting for democracy, it really means that as soon as they take power again, they'll do everything they can to attack, imprison, and permanently silence their opposition." Former college basketball coach Bruce Pearl noted that President Trump won 46% of the vote in the state of Virginia, and therefore this vote, there were 6 Democrats and 5 Republicans representing the people in the House. To restore fairness, the Democrats will now carry the state 10-1. This is certainly a victory for Democrats, but how is it fair? Glenn Youngkin, former Virginia governor, tweeted out last night, "Thank you to all the voters who turned out to vote against this erroneous power grab. The race was much closer than the left expected because Virginians know a 10-1 map is not Virginia. I urge the Virginia Supreme Court to rule against this unconstitutional process that will disenfranchise millions of Virginians." Meanwhile, Democrat Governor Abigail Spanberger, not very popular right now, said Virginia voters have spoken, and tonight they pushed back against a president who claims he's entitled to more Republican seats in Congress. As we watched other states go along with those demands without voter input, Virginians refused to let that stand. We responded the right way at the ballot box. So again, fighting for democracy by gerrymandering and disenfranchising voters. Interesting. And you can listen if you say, well, what about ism, right? Republicans did it in this state. Listen, if you look at places like California and New York, they're already gerrymandered. The Democrats have been playing this game forever. So now they're just going full throttle and saying they're doing it in the fight for democracy. Also, and we're going to talk about Iran when we return, I wanted to mention this. Representative Sheila Sherfilis McCormick. We talked about this quickly on the program, but hadn't really dove into it. She resigned from Congress yesterday, 30 minutes before she was scheduled to appear before an ethics panel over her alleged theft of $5 million in taxpayer money, which was used to fund her political ambitions. A House Ethics Investigative Subcommittee found just last month that she violated more than 24 laws, rules, or regulations governing lawmakers and was weighing whether to recommend a censure or potential expulsion. Speaker Mike Johnson was informed that, quote, "After careful reflection and prayer, I've concluded that it is the best interest of my constituents and the institution that I step aside at this time," said McCormick. "I remain committed to supporting a smooth transition and ensuring continuity of service for the district." With her departure, Republicans hold a narrow 217 to 213 majority over Democrats in the lower chamber. There's some other things going on behind the scenes. But in a separate statement, the Congresswoman accused the House Ethics Committee of not engaging in a fair process, while its investigative subcommittee looked into her purported pilfering of COVID-19 relief funds. The bipartisan 10-member panel voted to find her guilty of at least 25 counts related to the stolen Federal Emergency Management Agency funds on March 27th, following a rare public hearing that stretched from the day before into the early morning hours. Sherfilis makes a special election in Florida's deep blue 20th Congressional District to replace the late Representative Alcee Hastings. Before then, she had triumphed in a Democrat primary by just 5 votes over her next closest competitor in November of 2021. During those campaigns, $5.7 million in government funding was funneled to a consulting firm, quote, wholly owned, end quote, by Sherfilis McCormick between March of 2021 and October of 2022, before it was voluntarily dissolved. Wow. Of that sum, a total of $3.6 million reached her coffers, according to ethics investigators. So she resigned moments before the vote. Okay, when we return, we are going to talk about Iran. A lot of updates there. We do have some New York State issues to get to. We're going to hear from Assemblyman Phil Palmisano a little bit later on. And as I mentioned, guests from the Pregnancy Resource Center of the Valleys and from the upcoming college fair. This is for students or those looking to change maybe their college, or those that want an adult education, get into college. There's a lot of opportunity there. This is an annual tradition. We've talked with Chris numerous times in the past, so we'll be talking with him in the 7 o'clock hour. So stay with us. We're just getting warmed up, and we're already running late. That's how you know it's going to be a good show. Stay with us.
Hi, this is Tom Witzel, owner of Hesselson's in Amara Heights. At Hesselson's, we care about your well-being and overall health, whether it's relieving stress, muscle recovery, increasing circulation, or just revitalizing the body. Hesselson's now has 2 complete line of infrared and traditional rock saunas in our new and expanded showroom. Come in today and see why owning a sauna is a start of your new healthy lifestyle. Hesselson's is still locally and family-owned and operated in Amara Heights. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Ferrari Auto Team!
The best chicken wings?
Ask Google!
The best driving range?
Ask Google!
The best Jeep dealer?
Ask Google!
We did! Google reviews from customers rank Ferrario Jeep in Elmira the highest Jeep dealer in our area.
If you don't see me, I can't save you any money.
Check out the new Jeeps during our Declaration of Deals event.
Visit Ferrario in Elmira or at Ferrario.com.
The Declaration Deals is here, and it's exploding into April at Chilson Wilcox. Drive home a Ram 1500 and save over $6,400. Plus, get 2.9% for 72 months or 4.9% for 84. And this comes with the best powertrain warranty in the business. 10 years, 100,000 miles. Or save up to $8,400 on a 2025 Jeep Grand Cherokee. But hurry, only 13 left. They all must go. As always, get the highest trade-in values. Period. These deals won't last. When they're gone, they're gone.
I'm meteorologist Brandon Weathers. We have a slight chance for a shower in the afternoon. Otherwise, 66 today, staying mild tonight with any showers tapering off earlier on in the evening and clear skies then taking hold. We'll stick with some sunshine on Thursday, well into the 60s. Still a bit mild for your Friday as well. We'll have some opportunity for showers going into the weekend. More 60s, though, through Tuesday.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. Comment from a viewer. Good morning. Well, hey, good morning to you. Regarding Taco, I would bet everything I have that if President Trump went in and bombed the heck out of Iran, instead of giving them a chance to come to their senses, the left would criticize him for this also. Damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. There is just no honest middle ground with these radical losers. Oh, absolutely. I mean, unless we see an article about Taco and we assume that that reporter wants an end to the ceasefire, and yet we're told that when he tweeted out or True Socialed out, wipe out the civilization or whatever it was, I don't know the exact quote, that was worse almost than if he actually had. That Marjorie Taylor Greene, and then the left using Marjorie Taylor Greene, ran with the story as if he had actually done it. So you're exactly right. There is no way, and we know that. And that's why we all take a breather when we get upset about the coverage. We know who they are. We know that's why they've lost credibility. The CNNs of the world, the far left outlets. That's why we have to take a breather and say that this is who they are. We know who they are. And there is no way that Trump can win this. That's why they're not reporting on the huge victories in Iran. And Trump criticized CNN as fake news just yesterday because he said you're not talking about the huge victories that our soldiers and our military have had, and that what they want to focus on is what they deem a quote unquote loss. And that's why if you look at Senator Chris Murphy, he just showed who they really are, the media and the left, and one and the same. He just showed who they really are by celebrating what he saw as a loss and something that could be used against Trump. It's the same as a New York Times reporter. I know I said it earlier, but the same as the New York Times reporter who said he's not sure he wants a U.S. victory here because it would be politically beneficial to Trump. Now, last night, early this morning, Iran's paramilitary Revolutionary Guard opened fire on a container ship in the Strait of Hormuz, damaging the ship and further raising the stakes as planned ceasefire talks in Pakistan failed to materialize. The British military's United Kingdom Maritime Trade Operations Center said the attack happened around 7:55 a.m. in the Strait. It targeted a container ship, 7:55 5:55 a.m. their time. The UK MTO said a guard gunboat did not hail the ship before firing. It said no one was hurt and there was no environmental impact from the attack. Iran did not immediately acknowledge the assault. Trump says that Iran is collapsing financially, tweeting out last night, They want the Strait of Hormuz opened immediately, starving for cash, losing $500 million a day. Military and police complaining that they are not getting paid. SOS. Iran doesn't want the Strait of Hormuz closed. They want to open so they can make $500 million a day, which is, therefore, what they are losing if it is closed. They only say they want it closed because I have it totally blocked, closed. So they merely want to save face. He rejected, meaning the president, rejected calls to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, warning there would never be a deal with Iran unless we blow up the rest of their country, their leaders included. Now, this will be another example where Marjorie Taylor Greene is excited that she gets to get out there on CNN, The View, and elsewhere, because they'll say this is a call for the 25th Amendment, because he said, who blows up a whole country? Just like, and if you haven't watched at least Stefanik hit it out of the park, when Jake Tapper tried to paint her into a corner about the wipe out the civilization tweet, and she did great with it. The commander-in-chief said Iran only proclaims to close the waterway to save face, as I had mentioned. People approached me 4 days ago saying, sir, Iran wants to open up the strait immediately. But if we do that, there can never be a deal with Iran unless we blow up the rest of their country, their leaders included. Blockading Iranian ports is an act of war and thus a violation of the ceasefire. Striking a commercial vessel and taking its crew hostage is an even greater violation. He then vowed Iran knows how to defend its interests and how to resist bullying, said. Oh, that wasn't Trump, of course. I'm sorry. That was... No, that was Trump. What? That's a weird word from Trump. Sorry. Iran knows how to defend its interests and how to resist bullying. Okay. Iran has already condemned U.S. forces for seizing a vessel, describing it as piracy. We mentioned that on yesterday's broadcast. Now, according to CNN, who we earlier saw that it is now acceptable for, in their headlines, to use the term taco, they're going to tell you why President Trump extended his ceasefire. Okay? Apparently, at the White House, Trump top aide believe they weren't hearing back from Iran. They believe the main reason that they weren't hearing back was fractures within the current Iranian leadership, their understanding based partly on dispatches from the Pakistani intermediaries, according to the three officials that were questioned by CNN. The administration's sense is that the Iranians don't have consensus on their position or how much to empower the negotiators on uranium enrichment and the country's current stockpile of enriched uranium, a major sticking point in the peace talks. Part of that complicating factor, the U.S. believes, is whether the new supreme leader is giving his subordinates clear directions or if they're simply having to guess what he wants without specific instructions. U.S. officials believe his efforts to remain hidden have disrupted internal Iranian government discussions. Despite those significant hurdles, one official said there is still a chance U.S. and Iranian negotiators meet soon. But if and when that happens is far from certain. All right. We should probably take a break. All right. We're going to take a break. Talk more about this. We do have the Pregnancy Resource Center of the Valleys coming up in just a few moments. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
This year, WYDC is bringing you 25 New York Mets games free over the air this spring and summer. No fees and no subscription services. Tune into WJKP 48.2 to watch the New York Mets this MLB season. Let's go Mets!
Every year, millions fly with us at Allegiant because together, we go places. We see old friends and try new things. We laugh. We really like to laugh. And reconnect. We remember, and we wander, which leads to wonder. From how we go, to where we go, to what we do when we get there, we go further, together.
Give kids time. just 5 minutes a day. Ask them how they're feeling and listen.
Lease a brand new 2026 Hyundai Elantra SE sedan featuring alloy wheels, Android Auto, and Apple CarPlay with no money down for only $239 a month for 36 months. Make car buying simple. Drive your deal at Simmons Rockwell Hyundai in Big Flats.
Attention high school students. The Elmira Elks College Fair will be happening April 29th from 6 to 8 p.m. at Thomas A. Edison High School in Elmira Heights. It's open and free to the public. There will be up to 50 college representatives from technical schools, universities, in-state, out-of-state, 2-year, 4-year, public and private schools. Also the United States Armed Forces. If you're looking to transfer, this will be the college fair for you. Also a chance to win an instant scholarship drawing at 8 p.m. Come down to the Elmira Elks College Fair.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson's studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. Comment from a viewer. Speaking of Iran's finances, didn't I read someplace that China was sending money to Iran? I know there was reports that China was helping them in various ways. I wasn't sure if it was money specifically, but I know that China is involved, which is concerning. Retired Lieutenant General Keith Kellogg urged President Trump to escalate pressure on Iran and, quote, finish the job, arguing the United States should abandon further negotiations. Kellogg also encouraged the president to create more problems for Iran, including targeting Karg Island, a key oil hub. Quote, and this was on Sean Hannity's show, quote, now you're creating a compounding problem for them to try to solve. And I don't think they can solve it because they don't have the leadership left that can figure this out, and you now control it. And it's a fair point because we wiped out so much of their leadership. We're not sure about the supreme leader now. Currently, he has not been seen. Quote, the president gave them ample opportunity. It was very gracious in an attempt to talk their way through it. Now let's just finish it out. And I think we can finish it. We can strangle them economically. We're doing that with the blockade. Let's compound that problem. Not only do we have terrain, we've got the blockade as well. And instead of bombing their power plants, bomb something that really hurts them. That's their fuel industry or something like that, instead of going after things that hurt the people. So I think we still have cards to play. The New York Post editorial board said that you can credit President Trump with taking extreme risks for the sake of a possible peace, But we fear he's simply putting off the inevitable by giving Tehran another ceasefire extension. At the least, he should set a deadline of a day or two for the Islamic Republic's factions to agree on an offer. If they can't do it, they never will. Caveat, the president has access to intelligence we can't share, that we can't make clear sense of. That we can't make clear sense of his decision Tuesday doesn't remotely mean he was wrong to delay a return to active operations. Isn't that a refreshing way of putting it? Hey, we don't have the intelligence that he has. We don't know what they're seeing on the ground. So maybe the extension of the ceasefire was a good move. They don't give him the benefit of the doubt on a CNN or the mainstream media. Still, his stated reasons don't add up. So what if Pakistan's leaders asked Washington to hold off until the Iranians can come up with a unified proposal? First off, the Pakistanis can't possibly have a firm grasp on the regime's internal struggles. They're most likely just playing to their own public, trying to look important by getting the president to do as they ask. Second, Tehran's factions are sure not to unite unless they expect to lose everything if they don't deal. The U.S. goal remains clear: end Iran's nuclear program permanently. Eviscerate its conventional weapons power so it can no longer bully its neighbors. Ensure the Strait of Hormuz will always remain completely open to all nations with no tolls. We'd also like to help Iran's people, as Trump indicated weeks before Epic Fury's launch, and as he showed with his call for Iran to cancel its plans to execute 8 female civilians for political, quote, crimes. If the regime doesn't fall, it should make some commitment to honoring basic world standards for human rights protections. The problem I have with that, and that's why you almost feel there has to be a regime change. That won't be. They can say it all they want, but that's how they remain in power, is to intimidate, kill, murder their own civilians. But U.S. power can achieve all the hard power goals without Tehran's agreement. That's what the original war plan aimed to do with the final 2 weeks bombing, or to do with the final 2 weeks of bombing that the president keeps putting off. But every pause sees Iran dig up its missiles, moving to slaughter more civilians, and otherwise do the reverse of what Washington wants. If the hardliners get another 2 weeks, they'll find a way to at least partially restock their military assets. And that's what's scary about the ceasefire. Buying time. They're very good. Iran is very good at buying time to build up their weaponry. The regime is always willing to talk and even make promises, as it did about opening the strait last week, but has a flawless record of breaking its word. How much longer will Trump let it get away with just leading us along? Putting off the completion of the Epic Fury plan only makes it more likely that energy prices and world economies won't settle down before midterm voting begins. Completely defanging Iran is what's needed, not some meaningless piece of paper that pleases the Pakistanis and the global peace process people. And the Epic Fury plan, if the Epic Fury plan isn't enough, up the pressure. Sequester all the oil Iran's hoarding in tankers near China. Show we can destroy Karg Island by doing some repairable damage. Cut off every possible financial lifeline for the regime. It's perfectly fine to give Tehran another day or two, but no more. When they still can't deliver, stop putting off the inevitable and finish the job. So very similar to what that retired Lieutenant General had to say. Georgia Worrell also adds that Trump should aim even higher than in the nuke deal, demanding basic rights for Iranians during peace talks, according to experts. That Iran would merely kick the can down the road for future generations. That we need to demand basic freedoms for the Iranian people. Middle East geopolitical scholar Kian Tabaskin said the White House currently has the upper hand against Iran, but risks squandering it at the negotiating table. We're at the 20-yard line with Iran, he said. U.S. is winning the war, but losing the negotiations. The NYU international relations professor said that Trump should strike down any temporary agreement that would allow Tehran to resume enrichment years down the line. The idea of a 20-year moratorium, I think, a big mistake. It kicks the can down the road, and as soon as military hostilities cease, Iran will begin to cheat and covertly recreate its nuclear weapons program. They will claim that they will agree to a moratorium, but they will cheat, and I think that's because they've done it. There's no reason to think they won't cheat. Their regime is committed to this, and it has survived. Instead, Trump should stick to the 3 core demands reportedly raised during U.S.-Iran talks in February. No uranium enrichment, limits on ballistic missiles, and reducing support for proxy militias. Those were the good 3 war aims. It would be a mistake to just go back to the nuclear file. All right, so when we return, we're going to do a quick little segment about Chris Murphy, because you have to hear this. And then we're going to hear from the Pregnancy Resource Center of the Valley. And then after that, we have Assemblyman Phil Palmisano with a clip about the budget extender, and then about EVs, and then we'll get into some New York State issues. I do have some updates that there are no real segues to, so you have to keep that in mind. But stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Watch news from the Twin Tiers and catch local events on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
The only thing more American than apple pie and 4th of July is baseball. This year, WYDC is bringing you 25 New York Mets games free over the air this spring and summer. No fees and no subscription services. Just turn on WJKP 48.2 and grab a comfortable seat right at home to watch baseball history unfold. Make sure you don't miss a home run. And tune into WJKP 48.2 to watch the New York Mets this MLB season. Let's go Mets!
The declaration of deals is here, and it's exploding into April at Chilson Wilcox. Drive home a Ram 1500 and save over $6,400. Plus, get 2.9% for 72 months or 4.9% for 84. And this comes with the best powertrain warranty in the business. 10 years, 100,000 miles. Or save up to $8,400 on a 2025 Jeep Grand Cherokee. But hurry, only 13 left. They all must go. As always, get the highest trade-in values. Period. These deals won't last. When they're gone, they're gone.
Diagnosed at 65.
37. Earlier than most.
Every 9 minutes.
someone is diagnosed with Parkinson's disease.
And every one of them can turn to the American Parkinson Disease Association. Visit apdaparkinson.org to learn more and show your support today.
I'm meteorologist Brandon Weathers. We have a slight chance for a shower in the afternoon. Otherwise, 66 today, staying mild tonight with any showers tapering off earlier on in the evening and clear skies then taking hold. We'll stick with some sunshine on Thursday, well into the 60s. Still a bit mild for your Friday as well. We'll have some opportunity for showers going into the weekend. More 60s, though, through Tuesday.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Some comments from viewers. Mark says, I wonder if the supreme leader of Iran is even alive. It doesn't seem so. I know, it's only been written statements. Jack writes, good morning, Frank. Well, good morning, Jack. The Democrats will never think of their tactics as illegal. Their constituents will always think, oh, how clever, and the left media will spin it against Republicans and cry foul. The first rule of taking over a state is control the media. The left have a master's degree. The Republicans only have an associate degree in manipulating the narrative. Good point. Well, and it doesn't hurt that the media wants the Democrats to succeed, but we'll continue. We don't need to get down in the mud with the left, just need to hose the mud off Democrats to expose who they actually are. Unfortunately, the left media controls the mud puddle. There you go. Thank you, Jack. I appreciate that. And then a nice wave. We'll add that to the list. Okay. This goes to the point, and then, yes, we are going to hear from our interview here in just a moment. But this goes to the point where you see people in the media and those on the left in politics that are actually celebrating when they think there is something bad that happens in Iran for the U.S. Senator Chris Murphy, who has somehow drawn 2028 presidential buzz, I think that's a little overhyped, sparked a firestorm for bizarrely applauding a disputed report that more than 24 Iranian vessels have slipped through the ongoing U.S. blockade. Awesome, he posted on X Monday in response to a report from the shipping journal Lloyd's List claiming that at least 26 so-called shadow fleet vessels had eluded the American shipping siege. Awesome, said Senator Chris Murphy. Awesome. He received so much blowback that he had to respond by saying that it was sarcasm. Okay, Twitter, I can't believe I need to clarify this. So now you're the dumb one. You're the dumb one for seeing someone report awesome to something that could be detrimental to the United States, and you're the dummy for not realizing that it was sarcasm. But this obviously, Trump's bungled mismanagement of the war is not awesome. As I've said a million times here, it's a disaster and he should end the war immediately. My tweet was something called sarcasm. I just have to be more careful about sarcasm on Twitter, he whined to reporters. Chief Pentagon spokesperson Sean Parnell denied the Lloyd's List report as false and slammed Murphy's comments as shameful. At least one Democrat staffer agreed that Murphy had gone too far. A Democrat staffer actually saying stupid sarcasm over life or death issues is beneath a senator. Was it sarcasm? Certainly. But when so many on the far left have been openly cheering for the Iranian regime, and when Murphy has shown a willingness to play to the far left when it suits him politically, Republicans can hardly be blamed for taking him at his words. If a Republican had posted something like this in reverse, you bet your, you know what, Democrats would be hitting them for it. What a great point. And Chris Murphy recently said that the U.S. is facing the most significant threat to American democracy since the Civil War, meaning Trump. We are not on the verge of a totalitarian takeover. We are in the middle of it. For some reason, he is considered presidential material. Murphy's colleague, Senator Rick Scott, said he's an embarrassment to the Senate and accused him of rooting for enemy terrorists who target and kill Americans. He should be stripped of his assignment to the Foreign Relations Committee now. Senate Democrats are expected to disagree with Republicans, but cheering for our enemy, especially for a regime that has killed so many American citizens, is beyond the pale. Democrats in Congress ought to condemn this disgusting remark. Yeah, so many really saying, so what he's basically saying is go Iran. You're a traitor, a lot of people responded. You should be removed from the Senate. You are a national security threat. Really is awesome to have an Iranian agent in the United States Senate. Much diversity. Unbelievable. Michael Goodwin said, just how low can Democrats go? If Chris Murphy is any indication, it won't be long until the entire party is in the gutter cheering for America's enemies. Murphy, a Connecticut senator, makes noise about running for president. Sounds as if he would be a better fit as Iran's Ayatollah. Again, remember, he whined that he was misunderstood and that he shouldn't use sarcasm on Twitter. The claim would hold more water here if it weren't for Murphy's atrocious record of bashing his country at home and abroad. As I mentioned, in Spain, he said that Trump is the most significant threat to American democracy since the Civil War. No word. Adding fuel to the bonfire, he insisted that we are not on the verge of a totalitarian takeover. We're in the middle of it. No word on whether that was also sarcasm. That was not his first foray into undercutting the president's policies. Last year, before Ukraine President Zelensky's disastrous first meeting with the president and J.D. Vance, Murphy met with Zelensky and advised him to reject the deal Trump was offering. Trump reacted by booting Zelensky from the White House and temporarily withdrew his offer of help in the war against Iran. Murphy is exceptionally strange, but he is not alone among Democrats who are so consumed by anti-Trump hatred that they have lost the plot about a dangerous world. They are so confused that most of the party's 47 U.S. senators have fallen for two big lies, both involving Israel. The first big lie is that Israel committed genocide in Gaza and intentionally starved infants. Never mind that Hamas started the war with its invasion, barbaric slaughtering of civilians, and taking 251 hostages back to the tunnels in Gaza, or that Hamas used Gaza's civilians as human shields. The second big lie is that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu tricked a gullible Trump into joining the war against Iran. Never mind that Trump has been saying since his campaign that he would do whatever was needed to stop Iran from getting nukes. He proved he was serious in his first term with several key actions. It's no coincidence that both lies are being perpetrated by the New York Times. The paper is the brain and mouthpiece of the Democrats, and even its biased, false reporting becomes a roadmap for them. Such is the case with its claim that Israel was committing genocide in Gaza. The lie was unmasked by the Times' belated admission that a child it featured as an example of being starved had pre-existing health problems. And we can go through all of those examples. A recent poll found that 80% of Democrats and Democrat-leaning independents hold an unfavorable view of Israel. 80%. A jump from 69% last year and 53% from 2022. Those huge and sudden changes are visible on Capitol Hill. Opposing military aid to Israel was once a fringe view, but is now more mainstream as Democrats move even closer to embracing the international left's hatred of Israel and the false accusations that it is both a colonial and apartheid state. A growing tolerance for anti-Semitism, especially on college campuses, is both a cause and effect of the politicians' turn against Israel. I fear the worst is yet to come. So there's Chris Murphy celebrating what he deemed as a loss to America and a win for Iran. We got to take a break. When we return, we're going to hear about the Pregnancy Resource Center of the Valley. So stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
Don't have time to go to the gym? The health club is not an option? Come to Hesselson today and see why swim spas and fitness systems can fit into anyone's yard and budget. 12-foot, 14-foot, 15-foot, 18-foot dual temperature hot tub and swim spas are all on display in Hesselson's indoor and outdoor showroom. Try before you buy. 0% interest-free financing options are available on every Hesselson swim spa. Swim and exercise year-round and start making every day better. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
State nearly $60 million towards improving key roadways across the southern tier.
Many older homes are still at risk for exposing residents to high levels of lead.
The Nani Hood Parent Resource Center once again brought the community together for its annual Halloween parade.
Around the southern tier, Finger Lake stands out for its scenery and wine scene. This year's dry drought brought some positives to the crop. Lee Com Center is looking for fans to show up and show out.
How the right mattress can transform your day. At Raymore & Flanigan, we carry brands built for real rest, including the luxurious new King Coil mattresses by Drew and Jonathan Home, and the unparalleled value of our new line Sleep by Raymore & Flanigan. Ready to feel the difference? Visit a sleep center to take a free comfort test. From plush to firm and everything in between, we'll help you find your perfect match. Sleep better, feel better, live better. at Raymore and Flanagan.
The Frankly Speaking Loop Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Aiken. We are broadcasting from the Hesselson studio, and in that studio, Connie Nichols. Thanks so much for being on the program.
Thanks for having us.
So tell us, for people that aren't aware, what is the Pregnancy Resource Center of the Valleys?
So the Pregnancy Resource Center exists for mostly pregnancy confirmations, so people can get information about if they're pregnant and how far along they are, you know, if the pregnancy is in the uterus, that kind of thing, so that they can make decisions about their pregnancy. Sure. Our services are free. We also, if for our parenting clients, we offer parenting classes, pregnancy classes. We have a boutique so that they, as they take the classes, they can come and earn stuff for their babies and such. 8 weeks before their due date, we put together a little layette set and just help them welcome their baby into the world.
How many people are you dealing with at one time with your staff? Like you said, all those. I mean, it sounds like you've got could have a lot going on. Is how I'm trying to word that.
Yeah, we could have a lot going on. It just depends on the season. Sometimes we're very busy, and sometimes there's a lull. So it just all kind of depends on.
How large of a staff do you have?
We have a very small staff.
Okay, so large wasn't the right word. Small staff. Okay.
We have we operate with volunteers. We have a lot of we don't have a lot of volunteers. Our volunteers come and go because of course people are busy. Their lives are busy, but we have some very dedicated in-office staff and volunteers that meet with the clients.
Well, you mentioned that. It's a great segue. You're looking for volunteers then.
Absolutely.
And so someone's hearing this. What does it take to be a volunteer, and how can they become a volunteer?
Well, somebody with a big heart.
Yeah.
The first thing that we do is we have a accelerated training program, and that's just for anybody who's interested in volunteering, and then they can come and see what our organization is about, and if they're a good fit. Our next one is the end of March. Next month.
Okay. But
May.
I get it.
The end of May. And that'll be in our Bath office. So anybody who's interested, and then they fill out a volunteer application, and then there's the training. You know, there's we have pregnancy people who meet with our pregnancy clients only, people who meet with parenting, and then we have people that like help with fundraisers and cleaning the office, updating our boutique because seasonally.
Well, and you said the Bath location. How many locations do you serve?
We have 4 locations.
Okay.
Yep, we're right here in Corning on the second floor of the library, down this long hall.
So. Yeah, yes.
And then Bath on Liberty Street. Hornell, we're within the New Hope Community Center. They've given us some space in there.
Oh, that's.
And then we have on Main Street in Mount Morris is our 4th location.
Okay. Do you have to travel to all those places as executive director?
No, not always.
Where are you based out of?
I'm mostly in Corning and Bath. I mean, I do go to the other places.
To
but
Mount Morris.
Yep.
They have a really good sub shop there. If you need an excuse, I'll tell you off the air. Okay.
All right.
All right. But you mentioned fundraisers. Some people volunteer for fundraisers. Tell us about like some of past fundraisers and if you have anything coming up.
Sure. One of the fun things that we just started doing a couple years ago is a color walk.
Okay.
And
those are really popular.
Yeah. We thought, well, let's do something different. Involve the community. So we've partnered with some of the local agencies, and we have invited nonprofits to table at that. Just because we are very involved in partnering with WIC and Healthy Families and such like that. It's good resources. We've had it at the Bath School.
Okay.
So we'll do that again, and we're hoping to have one in Mount Morris area this fall. And then it's kind of a fundraiser, but more of more awareness. In September, we have like a memorial walk.
Okay.
Because we work with women who've had miscarriages and abortions.
Yeah.
Abortion recovery is one of the big things that we do as well.
Oh, interesting.
We have some virtual abortion healing support groups for women, so we can meet with women all over the state. We've met with people in other countries as well.
Sure. Wow.
So that's a need that we're able to walk alongside these women.
So wow, you do really cover a lot for that kind of staff. But that's why volunteers are so important. We're going to bring that up, of course, at the end. But if someone does want to volunteer, what is their responsibilities? If someone might say, I want to volunteer, but I'm not ready to get right into it. What are their responsibilities?
Well, it depends on
what avenue
you want to
go down.
Right avenue, yeah.
Yeah. But if they're one of the ones that need to take a class, how long was something like that?
A lot of it is shadowing.
Okay.
And then we have like some online tutorials and such like that.
So it's not too difficult.
It's not. No, it's not too difficult. We try to make it.
So if someone's watching this and say maybe they don't have time to volunteer, but they want to help. How can they help the Pregnancy Resource Center of the Valley?
Well, we're always looking for financial donors as well.
Sure. I was waiting for that. How is best to donate?
Well, I'll give a shout out to Finger Lakes Gives.
Yeah.
They have opened their platform year-round for year-round giving.
Oh, really?
So that's an easy way. Just go to flx.org and then search for PRC of the Valleys.
Yeah.
So that's one of the quick ways. You can always email us at prcvalleys@gmail.com.
Okay.
And then if you want more information
Is that the best way to find? Because that's normally my final question. How do people find out more? Whether they want to volunteer, whether they want to donate, or they need your services? What's the best way to start?
So the services, our website is be-prcv.
Okay.
.org.
Okay.
That's where you can find your services. It also has a contact page.
And that's the best way if they want to get contact for volunteers or maybe be a part of the fundraiser? Would that be?
The
fundraiser,
I
said,
would
yeah.
do the email
Yeah.
or call one of our offices. Calling one of our offices is probably good.
All right. Well, great. Well, thanks so much for being on the program. Best of luck. I hope we can talk again soon.
Thanks so much.
All right. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking.
The Declaration of Deals is here, and it's exploding into April at Chilson Wilcox. Drive home a Ram 1500 and save over $6,400. Plus, get 2.9% for 72 months or 4.9% for 84. And this comes with the best powertrain warranty in the business. 10 years, 100,000 miles. Or save up to $8,400 on a 2025 Jeep Grand Cherokee. But hurry, only 13 left. They all must go. As always, get the highest trade-in values. Period. These deals won't last. When they're gone, they're gone.
Today's students are tomorrow's great thinkers and innovators.
What can this fall teach us about the way things move?
But right now, millions of kids go to schools that don't have the supplies they need just because of where they live. Donors Choose is a nonprofit that lets you support students and teachers in your community and beyond. You could supply a classroom like this one with a project. But what you're really giving is the moment that sparks a brighter tomorrow. Learn more at donorschoose.org.
I'm meteorologist Brandon Weathers. We have a slight chance for a shower in the afternoon. Otherwise, 66 today, staying mild tonight with any showers tapering off earlier on in the evening and clear skies then taking hold. We'll stick with some sunshine on Thursday, well into the 60s. Still a bit mild for your Friday as well. We'll have some opportunity for showers going into the weekend. More 60s, though, through Tuesday.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson's studio. We've got a lot to cover in the next hour. At the top of the program, we're going to hear from Assemblyman Phil Palmisano. Then we are going to hear from Chris Callis with the College Fair. You know, we've talked about the unfortunate, I don't know what the word would be. Well, the news that's been going on with Brown Cigar Store here in Corning, where the state sent in someone, and we talked about it quite a bit on this program. It's really discouraging. Well, listen to this, because this could be next in New York State. According to a new landmark bill, smoking will be banned in the United Kingdom for anyone born after 2008. The tobacco and vapes bill passed through Parliament and will make it illegal for anyone born after 2008 to buy tobacco from a shop. Wow. Excuse me. Don't know why I'm coughing during this one. The bill is part of a series of reforms designed to combat the health effects of smoking. So there we go. Smoking will be banned in the United Kingdom for anyone born after 2008. We'll see how that sticks. Oh, I had to give you this update because we talked the last couple of weeks. It seems like we talked about Bruce Springsteen quite a bit because we talked about kind of his hypocrisy, charging you thousands of dollars for a ticket. Man, I'm going to keep coughing. Thousands of dollars for a ticket, all while lecturing you about the 1% or how bad Trump is. Well, NJ.com, New Jersey, so his hometown newspaper, trashed him just the other day. They published a piece yesterday. Springsteen's New Jersey concert was poisoned by hypocrisy. Anti-Trump final act is a tragic mistake, they said. Wow. The article noted that the musicians opened his New Jersey show with the same brazen preamble about how Trump is racist, reckless, and treasonous, and mocking the president who can't handle the truth, among other insults. During his performance, Springsteen called his audience to join in choosing hope over fear, democracy over authoritarianism, the rule of law over lawlessness, ethics over unbridled corruption, resistance over complacency, truth over lies, unity over division, and peace over war. The article stated, again from his hometown newspaper, one problem, it's all hypocritical, we'll say baloney. Profiteering over legitimate protest. Springsteen's artistic identity as a bleeding heart populist who sings for the destitute and downtrodden has never been more disconnected from his economic behavior as a touring act or businessman. The blue-collar troubadour now charges exorbitant amounts for his tickets, up to $2,900 retail for the best seats in Newark on Monday. Prices he agreed to despite fan backlash. He's selling, quote, No Kings branded flags for $90 in the arena concourse. What a hypocrite. Springsteen's home state news outlet argued the 2026 experience of the musician is unrecognizable, and the tour's political framing exploits the division in America, suggesting the contradiction threatens to taint his career. The article rebuffed critics, citing other musicians' expensive tickets by arguing that other musician superstars did not build their brand, exalting themselves as the cavalry coming to rescue democracy from the clutches of fat cat bureaucrats as they march to the bank. None of them has spent their career on stage as an agent of moral witness, who doesn't perform as much as he preaches to his disciples in the name of all that is good and just. Wow. The columnist also stated that while the music itself was great, to, quote, frame it all now as some act of protest set at a price few can afford is not the tradition or high ground it pretends to be. It's a hollow monetization of a fraught time in American history and a significant blemish on a storied career. Wow, good for them. Okay. We got to take a break. I do have a couple things after we hear from Phil Palmisano and after we hear from Chris Callis. So stay with us. We'll be right back with hour number 2 after this.
Don't have time to go to the gym? The health club is not an option? Come to Hesselson today and see why swim spas and fitness systems can fit into anyone's yard and budget. 12-foot, 14-foot, 15-foot, 18-foot dual temperature hot tub and swim spas are all on display in Hesselson's indoor and outdoor showroom. Try before you buy. 0% interest-free financing options are available on every Hesselson swim spa. Swim and exercise year-round and start making every day better. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
During the Edition of Deals sales event, you'll get the deal of a lifetime on all new Ram 1500s.
Get up to $4,500 off and 2.9% for 72 months. All new Ram trucks come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty.
In Lewisburg, State College, and Mansfield, we need your trade.
So we're offering 20% over KBB good trade value, and we'll buy yours even if you don't buy ours.
At all 3 Blaze, Alexander, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram dealerships, we're taking the deals the other guys won't.
Every millions fly with us at Allegiant because together we go places. We see old friends and try new things. We laugh. We really like to laugh. And reconnect. We remember. And we wander, which leads to wonder. From how we go to where we go to what we do when we get there, we go further together.
And we welcome you to hour number 2 of Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. We're going to hear from Assemblyman Phil Palmisano in just a moment. We have some New York State updates to get to. Then we're going to jump back to a lot of different topics. By the way, I didn't even wish everybody a happy Earth Day. Happy Earth Day. Okay, let's go to some viewer comments. Ken writes in, I wonder how many deceased illegal immigrants and people that are no longer residents of Virginia voted to approve the gerrymandering. The Democrats are masters of manipulating voting. Republicans need to heed the age-old adage saying you need to fight fire with fire or they will keep ending up on the wrong end of the stick. Thank you, Ken. Mark writes in, to me, the Democrats sticking up for terrorists in foreign countries is insane, and in my book, they should be called traitors and impeached. Thank you very much. That's in reference to Chris Murphy celebrating what he thought was a loss for America and a win for Iran. All right, as we get ready to talk about New York State updates, and we've got to go to Assemblyman, we don't have to, I'm excited to hear from Assemblyman Phil Palmisano. A cool update, just really quickly. New York State Clay Target League spring season is underway. Listen to this. And we know that the Clay Target Leagues at the high schools have been taking off in the last, probably 10 years. There are now 3,203 student athletes that participate in it on 188 teams in New York State. The nonprofit USA Clay Target League provides a clay target shooting sports opportunity to over 56,000 students on over 2,000 school-approved teams across America. Some of the local ones, Canasteo Greenwood, our friends in Canasteo, Corning Pen and Post High School, Dansville, Elmira. I'm sure I'm missing some. That it's obviously extensive list. Odessa Montour, Trumansburg, Watkins Glen, Waverly. So 3,203 student athletes participating in the New York State Clay Target Leagues on 188 teams in the state. Hopefully they are either around the age or will grow up soon to vote for our Second Amendment rights here in New York State. Okay, I mentioned that today is Earth Day, and before we hear from Phil, I wanted to mention that I got out of order here. So now I have to find it because I didn't grab it with my New York State updates, and I apologize for that. Did that quickly. There is going to be an event today. Let me tell you a little bit about it. In 2021, the Corning Rotary Club teamed up with the City of Corning and Corning Enterprises to create the Rotary Cherry Blossom Trail in Dennison Park. You may have heard about it. We've talked about it with former Mayor Bill Bolin. As Rotary's signature project in celebration of its 100th anniversary. Last year, they began to celebrate Sakura, S-A-K-U-R-A, Sakura, the Japanese annual celebration when the cherry trees blossom, where they drop everything and head for the trees with a picnic. It has a wonderful, spontaneous flash mob quality. Last year in Corning, they had about 100 people join for a noon-hour event. No speeches, no program, just the trees and a community gathering to share in a springtime ritual of renewal. This year, the trees have blossomed, Sakura, and we will once again, they said, gather to celebrate today, Wednesday the 22nd at noon. You are invited to join in the simple tradition. Meet at the trailhead located at Dennison Park on East Market Street Extension, east of Cohocton Street. For reference, when traveling east on Dennison Parkway, turn left onto Cohocton at Dunkin' Donuts. If coming from East Corning Gibson on 352, turn right onto Cohocton, first traffic light at the former Rite Aid Pharmacy. Take the next right onto East Market Street Extension. The trailhead is a few hundred yards on the right-hand side. You can't miss the big sign, Rotary Cherry Blossom Trail. Parking is along the street and in the city's small lots on the left-hand side. So again, that is today at noon, if that interests you. Okay, let's hear right now from Assemblyman Phil Palmisano. As you note, the New York State budget was due on April 1st. It is now the 22nd. They voted on a budget extender, and we quoted it, a little bit of what the Assemblyman had to say. Assemblyman Phil Palmisano, but we have the full video so you can hear about the vote for the extender. Governor Hochul yesterday says that she believes the budget will be done before whatever the LCA show is, or May 19th. So we're going to shoot for May 19th. It does not look near to that, but that is still nearly a month away. Remember, the budget due April 1st. Remember, if she says the 19th, when is the school vote? The school budget vote, the 21st or the 23rd, don't quote me on that. So a few days later, when you vote on the budget, they take into consideration potential state aid. They will not have that information in front of them. So that'll be an interesting vote. But here's what Assemblyman Phil Palmisano had to say.
So what is the total amount we've appropriated with this extender? What will that total amount be now?
To date, it is $12.6 billion.
And this increase above the previous extender is how much?
$5.1 billion.
All right, and since this is our 5th extender, we're expected to come back Wednesday to do another extender, is that correct?
Yes, this goes through Thursday.
Okay, so.
The 23rd.
And then what payroll or other expenses will we take up in that 6th extender?
There's no payroll in here.
Okay, any other, well, that's fine then. And then do we, at this point in time, do we know how long that next extender may be?
No, that is up to the governor.
Okay. And given the lack of any really substantive public updates, even informal media leaks over the weekend, which really is not encouraging, do you have any updates that you could provide this body where we are as far as negotiations from before?
I can only say that things are being negotiated.
Sure. And then I guess I would ask that question, I brought it back before, this is our 5th extender. One budget bill, and I know we had the baseball commentary, so I guess I'd be remiss if I didn't bring it up again. Last week when we talked, you said we were in batting practice. Are we done with batting practice? Have we started the game yet? Or from that analogy, where do you see where we are right now as far as the discussions that are going on?
Unfortunately, we have not started the game yet. There's a rain delay. We are still.
Wow.
We're still doing batting practice, but the good thing about batting practice is it makes the game a lot more exciting.
Yes, it does. And we know what some of the issues out there, and I guess what we know the governor has a lot of policy issues that she's pushing. That's part of the discussion. Have we seen any specific language, and I'll just go down the list, and if you could just say maybe yes or no on this. Have we seen any language from the governor relative to her tax, the new payroll tax or any other taxes? Have we seen any language on that yet that's available?
No, we haven't.
Okay. How about on seeker? Any language yet on that?
No language on that.
How about her auto insurance proposal?
No language on that.
How about the immigration proposals?
No language there either.
How about Tier 6 discussion?
No language there either.
Okay. And on the climate agenda?
Same answer, under discussion.
And I guess on that front too, I would ask, we talked about, I know you did say in our discussions when I brought up the EV school bus mandate, you said that could be part of the discussion. On that same front, similar type of operation, we have this regulation called the Advanced Clean Truck Rule, which will deal with heavy-duty power vehicles that can impact the trucking industry. And right now, the state has a delay on the enforcement, but not a delay in the implementation, which the trucking industry is concerned about. The impact here. Is there any possibility those discussions could include a delay in the implementation and not just the enforcement of the Advanced Clean Truck Rule?
That is not under my purview. I couldn't answer that.
Okay, that's fair enough. I guess I would say I hope it is as we move forward.
Yes.
Is it kind of hard or is it difficult? Do you think it's fair that we continue to have a vote on these extenders with really no idea where we're going for our members here?
We know where we're going. We're on the road. We just come to a few forks in the road and have to make decisions as to which fork, which prong of the fork to take.
And you said, I mean, I know this budget bill includes a school aid payment for the current year, but doesn't really seem to provide any clarity for the upcoming year. And as you know, our school districts are up against now statutory deadlines to finalize and present their budgets to voters. In fact, military ballots have to be sent out this Friday, weeks from now. Do we have any idea when our school districts are going to get their final allocations and how that's going to be communicated with taxpayers, or is that just going to happen when we pass the final budget?
That'll probably be when we pass the final budget, but school districts can rest assured that whatever was in the original proposal by the governor will be the minimum that they will get. So they're only going to get more based on what takes place during our negotiations.
And with not knowing exactly what they're getting, I understand about what your point about the minimum. I know that's always been a discussion. Is it possible that we're putting them in a position where they might have to make mid-year adjustments and have an uncertainty for property taxpayers?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Here we are again in this late budget process, and I think it starts to raise serious questions about who really controls this budget process. As we know, under the framework established under Silver v. Pataki, the governor maintains significant authority over the structure and content of the budget, including the ability to advance broad, all-encompassing bills that limit our body as a legislature to meaningful agenda. Do you believe the current budget process as shaped by Silver v. Pataki gives the governor disproportionate control over negotiations during the budget?
I think under the prior to Pataki v. Silver, the legislature had a lot more authority, quote unquote authority, over the budget. Under the new ruling based on the Court of Appeals, it has actually diminished the amount of authority or control that the legislature has on any given budget.
And you believe, obviously, would it be fair to say, do you believe this this overarching control that the governor has is really contributing to the delays we're experiencing right now?
Well, I really feel that it limits the authority that the legislature has to do what we think is best for our constituents.
Sure, and I would agree with that too. But do you think it's time we really maybe start to evaluate and try to have a serious discussion rebalancing this authority to ensure the legislature has more of an equal and constitutional role in shaping this budget?
Well, that would take a constitutional amendment at this point because regular legislation would automatically be vetoed by any sitting government because it would diminish his or her authority over the budget. And doing a constitutional amendment will exclude any approval by the sitting executive, but that's a time-consuming process that I think that maybe we should undertake.
So it would take a constitutional amendment. Is that something?
Yes, I think the budget should be a purely fiscal document and not be, hindered with a lot of language, which is basically used to be called governance program bills, shouldn't be in the budget. But this is what we're stuck with because of Pataki v. Silver, and we're dealing with it.
And as we know, with this imbalance, we know that we as members of the legislature do not get paid. I mean, that's something we signed up for. We knew when it was approved. But the governor does continue to get paid. Is that something we should be looking at, given the fact that one side can hold up, whether it's on policy, whatever they want to do, their interests might be a little different from a perspective, on a policy perspective when we're dealing with the budget. Is that something we should look at, maybe to bring back fairness and look at holding back the governor's pay?
I really don't believe that, given the income level of the past several governors, that for their salaries to be withheld is not something that they would frown upon, unlike many of the legislators that have, personal bills to attend to. This whole thing is rather undemocratic as far as I'm concerned, that the legislature does not receive whatever their compensation is because there's no budget, which is something that's not really our fault, at least in my opinion.
No, I understand it. I guess, and I can understand what you say about it might not be driven for the governor, but I just think from a sense of fairness, accountability, we have three people, or three bodies, Senate, Assembly, and governor negotiating, but with the fact that the governor can not, I guess that's why I'm asking, maybe that's something we should look at, passing legislation just to put her on same equal grounds as we're looking at here as a body. Wouldn't that be the right step, maybe possibly to take as a legislature?
There is legislation that is in print, as far as I know right now. It has not passed through committee yet. That may happen in the near future.
Yep. I think you'd probably get some votes across the board on that. And I think you agree, we got to move forward to have more accountability across the board for all of us, and not just the legislature, but the governor as well. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate your time as always. I look forward to our next discussion, whether it's Wednesday or wherever it may be. Madam Speaker, on the bill.
On the bill.
Well, here we are again, our fifth extender, only one budget bill. Last week I talked about Yogi Berra, deja vu over again. We mentioned Groundhog Day. We know Punxsutawney Phil saw his shadow. This Phil right here sees a shadow. Actually, I see a dark cloud hanging over this institution, this chamber, and this Capitol. given the fact that there's much inaction from us and this governor. There's no transparency, there's no accountability, there's no sense of urgency. All the time when right now we're at the point our local governments are looking for certainty, especially when you talk about construction projects, that season gets shorter and shorter. They need to know how much aid they're going to get to put for roads, bridges, and culverts, especially local roads, bridges, and culverts. And that's why the CHIPS program is so very, very important. Also, our school districts, like I said, Friday they have to send out their ballots to the military. They have to go through a process to put a budget in place to send to their voters next month, and they don't know. We're not going to have those numbers from them. It's great that we're making a school aid payment, but they don't know. So that can provide certainty unless something is definite. They might have to make adjustments, and that's not the way this should be done. We know major policy decisions are being included. We continue to be concerned that policy discussions continues to hold up the budget. These discussions really should be held in an open, transparent way, and that's just not happening. We know what the issues are. Tax increases. The governor came out with a plan last week to add a new tier, the pied-à-terre, for real estate in New York City. We know about the seeker, as we went through this with the chairman, still not seeing language on the auto insurance, on immigration changes, on Tier 6, on climate pauses, which I firmly believe we need changes on that. We mentioned about possibility of the EV school bus mandate changes. I know that's been up, that's possibly being considered. We hope it is. I mentioned the Advanced Clean Truck Rule regulation. I do think that's something we need to look at in those climate discussions, whether it's in the context of the budget or not, to delay the implementation of it, not just the enforcement, because when you don't delay the implementation, those trucking companies are still, and those dealers are still building up deficits that's going to be needed addressed, which could devastate and hurt the trucking industry in New York. Same holds true for the Advanced Clean Car 2 regulation. These are in effect right now. They're delaying the enforcement, but not the implementation. So I just hope that's part of the discussions that we look at moving forward. It seems like the only budget-related activity we see is the governor traveling around the state recently talking about her auto insurance reform proposals. And I know there's a lot of talk about affordability, a lot of talk about putting money in people's pockets, but late budgets, high taxes, burdensome mandates, uncertainty is exactly what drives people to look elsewhere. And when they do, those pockets and their dollars go to those other states. And we don't need that to continue our nation leading out migration of more families, small businesses, farmers, and manufacturers leaving our state. At some point, it's not just about putting money in people's pockets, it's about whether they actually feel confident enough in this state to stay. And I will tell you, the governor getting on the media saying, asking people to come back is not instilling confidence in that type of investment for businesses to stay here, for families to stay here. When they see that uncertainty in the policies that we're putting in place, when they see that uncertainty in the comments that are being made. So I remember her predecessor said people were leaving the state because of the climate, not the business climate, but the climate. No, they're leaving because of the business climate, the tax climate, the freedom climate. None of that has changed with this governor. And so just like her predecessor, she can get on the air and say, we need to come back. Well, that's not going to make them come back. That's not going to instill confidence in that. We're giving them every reason to leave because of these policies. It's really time to change that, my colleagues, because if we don't, we're not just going to continue to lose their confidence. We're going to continue to lose the people that we're empowered to serve. So I will be voting for this extender because we got to keep government open, but we still have a long way to go, and we need to get to work and do the right thing by the constituents we represent across this state of New York. Thank you, Madam Speaker, my colleagues.
At William Mattar, they only handle motor vehicle accident cases.
No, we're not going to take any lowball offers.
There's nothing William loves more than fighting for his clients and giving them the big money they deserve.
Okay, wow.
But everyone needs an outlet, a chance to get away from it all.
Heads bowed, eyes closed, and now go to your happy place.
Rideshare truck, motorcycle, car, only call William Matar.
I had to pack up all my things. I had to leave my home. And I never knew where I was going next. It felt like I never even had a say. But then you came along.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you. Learn how you can help at nationalcasagal.org.
The declaration of deals is here, and it's exploding into April at Chilson Wilcox. Drive home a Ram 1500 and save over $6,400. Plus, get 2.9% for 72 months or 4.9% for 84. And this comes with the best powertrain warranty in the business. 10 years, 100,000 miles. Or save up to $8,400 on a 2025 Jeep Grand Cherokee. But hurry, only 13 left. They all must go. As always, get the highest trade-in values. Period. These deals won't last. When they're gone, they're gone.
I'm meteorologist Brandon Weathers. We have a slight chance for a shower in the afternoon. Otherwise, 66 today, staying mild tonight with any showers tapering off earlier on in the evening and clear skies then taking hold. We'll stick with some sunshine on Thursday, well into the 60s. Still a bit mild for your Friday as well. We'll have some opportunity for showers going into the weekend. More 60s, though, through Tuesday.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Coming up in just a moment, we're going to hear from Chris Callis about the upcoming college fair. But before that, I wanted to get to just a couple of comments from viewers and then another quote from Assemblyman Phil Palmisano. Ooh, we got a special quote coming in. Mayor John Buckley of Hornell. You can catch him on the Pulse on WLEA on Saturday and Sundays at 1. Mayor John Buckley writes in, municipalities and school districts continue to blindly build budgets, not knowing what their state funding levels will be, while the dithering continues in Albany. It's the same old song and dance with no urgency and zero consequences. It's shameful. I agree, and as the mayor and I've talked about, and I know municipalities around here and school budgets, school districts, they still have to come up with a budget, not knowing the information. So it's not as if they can do the extenders, but Governor Hochul, what I say, is predicting May 18th, or says it'll be done by May 18th. Wow. All right, comment from a different viewer. Thank you for airing the New York State Assembly. This is the Democratic majority government we pay top dollar for. Just hot air for our taxpayer, or for our tax dollars. Thank you, Phil, for trying to hose the mud off them. With single-party Democrat rule, they're going to have to clean themselves up, or they're going to be governing over an empty state with their hands out with the ones that stay, with their hands out for the ones that stay. I couldn't agree more. And Ken writes in, literally everyone in the picture behind Phil is on their phone and not paying any attention. They're not invested in approving a budget. And I think you even heard that, well, for many, but even others, when the gentleman that was talking with Phil, there just seems to be just a kind of the shrug of the shoulders, whatever Hochul wants, and it's going to be a delay. I did want to mention this before we go to break and we hear from Chris Callis. Phil Palmisano is voicing his outrage at the fact that an inmate at Attica Correctional Facility recently brutally assaulted and injured 6 corrections officers. He said, quote, there is no excuse for an inmate to be able to assault corrections officers and civilian staff, not once but twice, and yet there is silence from Albany Democrats and Governor Hochul, even though it is their failed policies, such as the HALT Act, that allowed this to happen in the first place. My Republican colleagues and I have repeatedly pushed for the repeal of HALT for years, only for it to fall on deaf ears. I thought this might change, however, when the governor's own HALT task force published a list of recommended changes to HALT last year, but neither the legislature nor the governor has acted to implement these common sense safety proposals. This is an absolute slap in the face to our brave corrections officers. They deserve better. They deserve to have a legislature and a governor who have their backs. But unfortunately, they have neither right now from Governor Hochul and Albany Democrats. This is dangerous, and this is wrong. Thank you to Assemblyman Phil Palmisano. All right, we got to take a break. Chris Callis coming up when we return. We'll be right back.
Your Social Security disability claim has been denied, and you don't understand why. your physical or emotional problems make it impossible for you to work. I'm Peter Gorton of Lockman & Gorton. Don't give up. Together, we'll file your appeal to give you the best chance to win the benefits you deserve.
For a free consultation, call Lockman & Gorton, toll free 1-800-698-0567.
What better start or end every day than relaxing in your very own Hesselson's hot tub? Massage therapy, relaxation, stress reliever, pain management, soothing muscles, or just spending time with a loved one. Hot water therapy really does make every day better. Hesselson's has been a part of this great community for over 70 years, still being locally owned and operated. So make the drive to Hesselson's and start making your path to a better life today. And after 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
When you're running, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News. Give kids time. Just 5 minutes a day. Ask them how they're feeling. And listen.
Attention students. The Elmira Elks College Fair will be happening April 29th from 6 to 8 p.m. at Thomas A. Edison High School in Elmira Heights. It's open and free to the public. There will be up to 50 college representatives from technical schools, universities, in-state, out-of-state, 2-year, 4-year, public and private schools. Also the United States Armed Forces. If you're looking to transfer, this will be the college fair for you. Also a chance to win an instant scholarship drawing at 8 p.m. Come down to the Elmira Elks College Fair.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Panel, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting from the Hesselson studio, and in that studio this morning, it's Chris Callis. Welcome back, buddy.
Thank you for having me back, Frank. I appreciate your time.
Yes, it's hard to believe it's that time of year already for the college fair.
It is.
Is it earlier this year?
By a couple days, yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes, it's earlier than we first started. It used to be the Wednesday before Memorial Day.
Oh, really?
So now we've partnered to move it earlier because there's another event happening the next morning at Watkins Glen High School.
Okay, gotcha. Well, let's talk first because I think this is something that we have to address. We're used to it, and it's still called the Elmira Elks College Fair, but we've got a new location.
Correct. So, which is a wonderful thing to have. Mm-hmm. So it is being moved this year. It's still governed by the Elmira Elks Lodge, but it's being moved to Thomas Edison High School, which is located in Elmira Heights.
Right.
So everyone is welcomed. Everyone, not just Heights students, everyone's welcome. So we will have someone at the Elks to direct traffic if they show up there.
Good idea.
Yes, to say you need to go north.
Yeah.
So it was going to be Thomas Edison High School. So we've outgrown the Elks, basically.
That's a good problem to have.
It's a great problem to have. So again, with all the students that are going to be attending, and adults and parents and grandparents and whoever, is a great problem to have. And I love the Elks, and I thank them for what they've done for us facility. But we are growing and we're moving upward and onward because it's a safety issue at this point.
Right. Wow.
So
that's like I said, that's fantastic because I've been along for the ride. I think the whole time, seeing this grow every year. So how's the planning going this year?
It's been very busy. It has been very busy. This is crunch time, as you know.
Yeah.
We're only a few days away, which makes a huge difference. The biggest thing with the college fair is getting the word out to the students. Mm-hmm. So like if students are listening to me live talk about this, they need to know that we want them to come. It's never too early, whether you're in 7th grade or 8th grade or 9th grade. It's never too early to come to a college fair, walk around, and get a reality check of what grades you need and what it takes to get into the school.
Well, and I think we've talked about that in the past. There's so many things that you may not be aware of before you go in, and that's why it's so nice, and this is such a unique opportunity because you get to ask the individuals, hey, what do I need to know for this college? What do I need to know because maybe I play this sport and that college doesn't have that sport.
Absolutely.
There's so much to learn. How long have you been holding this?
Well, this is my 15th year.
Is that right?
So I was elected to the school board on Elmira Heights.
Yeah.
It'll be 15 years. I started this back then, and then it's grown and grown. So we're bringing it to the Heights again to have this happen with more space. But yeah, and the nice thing about it, and I got to put this right out there, Frank, it wouldn't be possible without our sponsors, which is on the flyer, which I'm going to talk about them in a minute.
Yeah.
But this would not happen without our sponsors because this is not a event that is paid for by the school taxes.
No.
This is not paid for by Big Fox Studios. Okay, this is someone that I'm looking for sponsors every year. You know, and you guys are a great partnership to have with us and so on with the others. But it wouldn't be possible without our sponsors. Without our sponsors, I can't pay for the commercials. I can't pay for the advertising. I can't pay for the food.
Right.
I can't pay for the ink and postage. And by the way, postage has gone up very much so.
I know. We could have a whole conversation
Yes,
about
we
that.
could.
But before we talk about the individual sponsors, that's why we have your email address, actually your wife's, but she's going to take care of that, and phone number, because you're still looking for sponsors.
I am. I'm currently looking for sponsors, you know, because we're doing something unprecedented again this year. We've changed it up. So this would be breaking news. And so if you're a student that could be possibly watching or listening, we are going to have at 8 p.m. at the end of the event, 4 $500 instant scholarship drawings. 4 of them. You're not going to get anywhere. You're not going to get anywhere in New York State or Pennsylvania where they're going to give you an instant scholarship.
Now, last year was the first year you did the scholarship, right?
That's correct.
How did it go last year?
It was fantastic. We had Mayor Mandel, who's a sponsor. He pulled one of them. We had the head of the Elks, Rick Petsky, pull one. And we had my boss, the Career Development Council, Sally Dean Mosier, pull one. And we called the students live and said, hey, you just want a scholarship?
That's great.
And they were like, I did? And I said, yes. All they have to do is fill out the little ticket, put their name in it. They don't have to be present to win. And then they can win the scholarship. And the program goes with this. Without the sponsors, that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So we're giving kids opportunities to win money for showing up.
That's amazing.
That doesn't happen?
Well, tell us about these great sponsors, because many of them have been along for the ride the whole time, because that's just the kind of reputation that you have, I think.
Well, you know, and thank you very much. I try, and people have a lot of trust in me, what we're doing, and I appreciate that. Come be down with sponsors. So let me just go down this list. First off, our county legislators that have stepped up, and the ones that have, I thank them very much. The ones, Rodney Strange, Steve Pickering, Mark Margison, Marty Chalk. There's another one donated but didn't want his name on there, and that's fine, but he also donated. I will go down the Pew safety training, Zach Pew, which is great. Hilliard, I can't speak enough about Hilliard. They've been a strong sponsor for years. They've been fantastic. We have a new one this year, Sauce Boss, who's located on College Ave.
I just saw a nice news piece on that
Yes,
recently.
yes. His food is excellent. He's going to be donating food, part of the wonderful dinner that I put on for all the reps from 5 to 6, a buffet dinner. So Sauce Boss is new. Shamong Supply with Mark Stemmerman, he's new this year. Also his Aviators, our Aviators going to be there. Plus, we have Ace going to be there as the mascot.
Of course.
Ace is coming. So Mark, thank you for your support. We also have the Elmira Heights PFO, who've been a sponsors. It's right in their backyard, the PFO. And they need volunteers, too, the PFO does, to keep that organization going. So if you are hearing this, PFO needs you in Elmira Heights. The Career Development Council, of course, putting the word out to the students. And great. The New York State Army National Guard are going to be part of that again this year. The Equitable Financial Advisors out of Rochester, but they cover the greater Southern Tier BOCES, which is great. Thank you for them, a new sponsor that came on. Of course, we have Wise Markets. Jeff down there does a great job at Wise, providing food and waters, and a big, huge cake he's making for us this year, which is outstanding. We've got the Elmira Elks, of course. We can't do without them. April Bates, who runs this for us, and all the people. The Elks have just been wonderful over the decade. Or more, Mayor Dan Mandel, of course, as another sponsor. And then a new one, Infusion and Hydration and Wellness, located on Miracle Mile, as a new sponsor. And again, we are looking for sponsors because we still have to offset the costs. So if someone can and wants to be part of this, we'd love to have you. If there's a civic organization out there that wants to be part of it, like the Rotary, or someone else for that matter, American Legions, whatever, please contact me. We'd love to have them, the Moose, whoever for that matter. We'd love to have them.
And now, you mentioned that you've moved to Thomas A. Edison High School because it's gotten bigger. I know we can't list everybody going to be there, but tell us a little bit about those who will be attending.
Sure. So as the college flyer indicates, we have in-state, out-of-state, 2-year, 4-year, public, private, technical schools, and armed services. So, of course, we have our local schools that will be there, representing like Corning Community College, which is a great place to start. I've got 2 degrees from there. My wife does too. It's a wonderful place to start and transfer out. You have Elmira College right in your hometown. We also have Alfred's that are coming, the State's University. We have University of Buffalo, my alma mater is coming, of course. But I have up right now, I think it's 44 schools that have signed up, and armed services. We're going to have the DEC there.
Oh, cool.
Yes, the National Guard there. We're going to have the fire department there, the police department. They're all recruiting cadets. New York State Police, the New York State DEC. They're all needing cadets, so there are jobs out there. So if there happen to be a student listening, like, what do I want to do? This is also a career fair too, that they can come find out how they can get a job in law enforcement.
And we're talking about the Elmira Elks College Fair 2026, Thomas A. Edison High School, Wednesday, April 29th, 6 to 8 p.m. When you talk about 15 years ago when you started this, how did this come about? Where did you get the idea that we in this area, and I believe it to be true, need a college fair?
So my background's in higher education. My master's in higher education administration. I have 4 college degrees, and I'm proud to say that. And I was working at higher ed at the time. And when I got elected to the school board, the superintendent at the Heights at the time was Mary Beth Fiore. And she said, hey, we already have a college fair at the mall. And I said, but I'd like to do one in the spring because bigger cities, a lot of these are run by their county officials because they know about the brain drain, and they make sure they do something to keep the kids here and the education here to keep businesses thriving. So Mary Beth said, okay, well, let's run with it. So we started it out, and we started at the Thomas Edison High School back in the day, which then we moved it to the Elks because of more of a central location. And as you know, I've said we've outgrown the Elks. So we're bringing it back to Edison, which I'm hoping we're going to outgrow Edison, which would be wonderful. So how it came about is I know we need this because there's a lot of kids that are seniors that are unprepared. And I think I've told you before, when I worked and lived in Long Island, we used to come Larry come lately from Long Beach that would show up in August and say, hey, I want to go to school. Where have you been for the last 4.5 years? And we'd help them get enrolled to school or apply. So I want to help those students realize that there's still time to go to school. And I want the kids that are maybe in 7th or 8th grade thinking, what do I need to get to school? It's never too early or too late to go to college.
Well, again, it sounds amazing with the scholarships. Before we go, what should attendees know?
Well, a couple things. Number one, it's free to park right on College Ave. Number 2, it's free to attend. Number 3, you have a chance to win an instant $500 scholarship.
Worth it for that.
Without question. Number 4, you don't have to have mom and dad drive you around at $4.29 a gallon right now gas around New York State or Pennsylvania. We're bringing the schools right here to you. So with that being said, come down and walk around and check it out. Save some gas, save some time, get it all done, and maybe win some money. With school. But bring your questions. As a former missions rep, there's nothing worse than having a student come by, look at you, and sort of ha and he and look and that. Come talk to the reps, engage them in conversation. Speak to your high school counselors. They have lists of questions. If they don't, reach out to me and I'll get you a list. Okay, it's simple to do. And you ask these people their questions. What does it take to get in? Are SAT or ACT optional? If not, what test scores do I need? Do you allow animals on parking? Because a lot of kids or animals on campus. Can I bring my car and park? Do you have sports? Do you have club sports? How much does it cost? When is there an application deadline? Okay, these are all things that they need to be thinking about. It isn't just, okay, I graduated in June, I'm gonna hang out for the summer, and now think about it. You need to be planning this in advance, which is important. And if you're not thinking about it at all, just come out and walk around and talk to somebody. You'd be surprised. And then just colleges, like I mentioned, we have careers that are going to be there too. And the armed services are wonderful. We have the Army, the Marines, the National Guard, the Air National Guard. They're all going to be there. So if you're looking at maybe an alternative thing, and that's another great way to have school paid for.
Oh, yeah.
Because they have tons of incentives, So I can't stress that enough. Also, most important, I want to give a couple plugs out to my wife.
Please do.
Get choked up because she's been a big help to me, Lindsay. I couldn't do it without her and my friend Chris Giaconda. They've been so supportive of me over the 15 years. And I bring my son in, Leonidas, who's like a little people greeter.
Okay.
And I mean it. Those guys, I couldn't do it without them.
I know. Well, it's such an amazing event, and to do it for 15 years, and I hope that it's 50 years more because it is such an amazing event. And I will say, because of the demographic of those watching, keep in mind, if you're an adult looking to further your education too, we sometimes focus on the kids, or if you're saying, maybe this college I chose isn't for me. Well, now we've got an opportunity to maybe look for a transfer. So, Chris, as always, it's a pleasure. We're going to do this again soon. I know you're busy. You got a lot of planning left to go.
I do. And thank you for having me. And I appreciate all the help and support.
Absolutely.
Couldn't do it without my community.
Absolutely. And there you see again, contact on the bottom. He's always looking for sponsors. Chris, thanks again. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
And then the man didn't hire William Mattar and settled for a low-ball offer. Ooh.
Bill, that's really not that scary.
Really? It gives me the chills. I mean, at William Mattar, we only handle motor vehicle accident cases, and they should have called us.
Dealing with big insurance doesn't have to be scary. Rideshare truck, motorcycle, car, only call William Mattar.
I had to pack up all my things. I had to leave my home. And I
I never knew where I was going next. It felt like I never even had a say. But then you came along.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you. Learn how you can help at nationalcasagal.org.
The Declaration of Deals is here, and it's exploding into April at Chilson Wilcox. Drive home a Ram 1500 and save over $6,400. Plus, get 2.9% for 72 months or 4.9% for 84. And this comes with the best powertrain warranty in the business. 10 years, 100,000 miles. Or save up to $8,400 on a 2025 Jeep Grand Cherokee. But hurry, only 13 left. They all must go. As always, get the highest trade-in values. Period. These deals won't last. When they're gone, they're gone.
I'm meteorologist Brandon Weathers. We have a slight chance for a shower in the afternoon. Otherwise, 66 today, staying mild tonight with any showers tapering off earlier on in the evening and clear skies then taking hold. We'll stick with some sunshine on Thursday, well into the 60s. Still a bit mild for your Friday as well. We'll have some opportunity for showers going into the weekend. More 60s, though, through Tuesday.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Let's go to some viewer comments, and thank you again to Chris Callis for being on the program this morning for the college fair. Okay. Good morning, Frank. Well, good morning. Late riser this morning and catching up. Okay. I will say the news wasn't the best in Virginia. It's very disturbing, and I'm not convinced there wasn't cheating going on still. Yeah, and we talked about it in the 6 o'clock hour, but it was slim. It just passed. It was a Virginia gerrymandering resolution. Resolution's not the right word, but Obama celebrated. All these Democrats are saying it's a win for democracy when it went from, what was it? Well, it's now 10-1. 10 congressional seats for Democrats, 1 for Republicans, and before, was it 6-5, something like that, more evenly split. Kamala Harris won in Virginia, but only by 52% of the vote. But yet now there's going to be 10 Democrats in the House. I mean, it disenfranchises 10 Democrats in the House as compared to 1 Republican. It disenfranchises millions of Virginian voters. It is very disturbing. I question exactly what was done. I know that the former governor, Youngkin, is calling for the Supreme Court to throw it out. We'll see. But yes, it is disturbing. On a better note, I'm glad I stayed tuned in yesterday. I enjoyed the interview very much. Thank you for that. I got to know a little bit more about Mr. Bruce Blakeman, gubernatorial candidate, and not that he wouldn't have had my vote anyway. It was nice to feel better about it, and I do. I agree. That has been a common kind of refrain because people were complaining before the interview and saying we haven't heard a lot from Bruce Blakeman. If you remember at the time, I said, I went and saw him in Elmira. You're going to love what he has to say, but that's not the same as actually seeing what he had to say. So I think a lot of people's minds were eased a little bit when they heard what he was about and who he is. So I'm glad we could bring that interview to you. If you did miss the Bruce Blakeman gubernatorial candidate interview, you can find it on WYDC or .com, or you can find it on our YouTube page. And if you missed, because there was some technical difficulties, if you missed the full broadcast on Monday, you can also find the bonus interview afterwards with State Senator Tom O'Mara, with Assemblyman Phil Palmisano and Assemblyman Joe Semplinsky, all in the same room in the interview right after Bruce Blakeman. So that's on YouTube. Comment from Mark. I think Phil did a great job trying to prove his point, but it seems like no one is listening to him. Why are we paying for those to do nothing politicians? Totally ridiculous. I agree. It is frustrating to watch, isn't it? Okay. I meant to ask this early in the morning. Just your thoughts. This is turning into a Marjorie Taylor Greene scenario where Tucker Carlson, and the media is running with this, offers a mea culpa and apologizes for misleading people about Trump. During an interview with his brother, Buckley Carlson, a Republican Party operative who previously wrote speeches for Trump, Tucker expressed regret for having publicly supported the president. You wrote speeches for him. This is Tucker. I campaigned for him. I mean, we're implicated in this for sure. It's not enough to say, well, I changed my mind, or like, this is bad, I'm out. It's like, you're in very small ways, but in real ways, you and me and millions of people like us are the reason this is happening right now. So I do think it's like a moment to wrestle with your own conscience. You know, we'll be tormented by it for a long time. This is in reference to him voting for Trump and supporting Trump. I will be, and I want to say I'm sorry for misleading people, and it was not intentional. That's all I'll say. So he's finding a little niche for himself, like Marjorie Taylor Greene. He'll be quoted by a lot of news outlets now. This goes back to why, and I know I received some criticism in the past and some pushback, but this goes back to when I said, if you go all the way back to Crossfire days, Tucker Carlson has always just looked out, for Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson's going to follow the path that gets Tucker Carlson the most fame and fortune. I think that's exactly what this is. You, as a Republican, especially a Republican that has been in the media, you know that things aren't looking good. If you start bad-mouthing and criticizing the current sitting Republican in whether the White House or someone in Senate or Congress, you are going to get the attention and the people tuning in. So your thoughts on that, because I'm sure at one point some of you were Tucker fans. I would love to hear your thoughts on him offering that mea culpa, as Mediaite calls it, mea culpa, in regards to voting and supporting Trump. Oh, this is an interesting one. I know, we got to take a break. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. Don't go anywhere.
Don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Watch news from the Twin Tiers and catch local events on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
Month after year after year, even decades, you've paid into the insurance system. You've done your part. But when you're seriously injured in a car accident or another tragedy, that system turns its back. Insurance companies care more about pumping up profits and stock prices than paying for your medical bills, your lost wages, or your recovery. At WYDC Injury Law, we fight to make them pay what's fair. If you've been hurt in New York or Pennsylvania, call 607-500-HURT. Don't let the insurance companies win.
I'm Grace.
I'm Ida, and I lived in California.
Timmy was just a puppy when I moved in. He's a emotional support animal.
I had Missy, who was 15 years old and blind.
Likes the people, he likes to greet all the people. All the employees are happy to see him.
I feel that my pets are very welcome here. I feel very welcome here. I think it's great.
United Way fights for the health, education, and financial stability of every person in every community. Will you?
Well, Frankly Speaking, Roof Cam. Brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. It was reported yesterday that the Department of Justice charged Southern Poverty Law Center. You may have heard them in the past quoted very frequently by the media to... They have a kind of list of organizations they deem racist in some way. Well, the DOJ is charging the Southern Poverty Law Center with fraud. What they are alleging is they actually paid white supremacist groups $3 million to, quote, stoke racial hatred, end quote. Millions of dollars to members of the Ku Klux Klan and other neo-Nazi organizations. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche said at a news conference that the 11-count indictment filed in an Alabama federal court alleged that the left-wing nonprofit, again very frequently quoted by the media, had in the past decade paid at least $3 million to 8 members of the far-right groups. One leader of the 2017, you may remember these, Unite the Right protest in Charlottesville, received roughly $270,000 over an 8-year period. Neither that person nor others were identified in the 14-page indictment. Another embedded person in a neo-Nazi organization was paid $1 million to steal 25 boxes of the hate group's documents. I'm not going to read the organizations that they quote-unquote partnered with. Now, the Southern Poverty Law Center's CEO, Brian Farr, said in a statement that the group was being targeted for prior use of paid confidential informants to gather credible intelligence on extremely violent groups. But Blanche said in the press conference that the nonprofit never informed law enforcement that it was paying off the Ku Klux Klan or other extremist groups. Several of the informants were also being paid while simultaneously being featured in SPLC publications, including on its public-facing Extremist File webpage, as members of the hate group. Prosecutors alleged in the indictment that the informants or field sources were also engaged in the active promotion of racist groups. Blanche said, "There is nothing political about this indictment or this investigation," claiming that the investigation preceded the Trump administration and Biden's DOJ had made a decision to not pursue it. FBI Director Kash Patel added that the widespread, decade-long, multi-million-dollar fraud was stretched from 2014 to 2023 and was concealed through a banking network and shell companies. So there is an update. Speaking of Kash Patel, there's an interesting piece, and I'd love to hear your take on it. Howard Kurtz says why Kash Patel broadcast his alleged drinking issues to the world despite denials by suing The Atlantic. Now, that's a unwieldy headline. But what his argument is with that $250 million lawsuit against The Atlantic for putting out a hit piece that says that Kash Patel drinks too much, these type of things, it got so much media attention that wouldn't have been there. There wouldn't be all eyes on a, quote, alleged drinking problem if he did not put forth the lawsuit, because The Atlantic would have been kind of a one-and-done piece with not as much attention as this received yesterday, because it went nearly 24/7 in the news cycle. Kash Patel had broadcast serious questions about his conduct, even as he denies them, by going the lawsuit route. All he's accomplished so far is putting the allegations on a huge national stage. Your thoughts on that? All right. We got to take another short break, and then we are going to wrap up today's edition with some quick news pieces. So stay with us. Make sure you get those comments in, and we'll read them when we return.
Accidents happen. If you're looking for an honest, dependable, trustworthy auto repair shop, bring it to Nappy's. Or if it's undrivable, have it towed right to us. It's your choice where to take your vehicle. Nappy's works with all insurance companies and will manage all vehicle calibrations. Nappy's has a state-of-the-art paint booth and a new and improved repair shop. Let our friendly staff of specialists help you through the process and get it done right the first time. Commit to Nappy's, family-owned for 3 generations.
Thank you for your business.
At Simmons Rockwell, you'll find brand new 2026 Chrysler Pacifica Select all-wheel drives for only $44,999 during the Declaration of Deals event going on now at Simmons Rockwell Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Bath.
I'm meteorologist Brandon Weathers. We have a slight chance for a shower in the afternoon. Otherwise, 66 today, staying mild tonight with any showers tapering off earlier on in the evening and clear skies then taking hold. We'll stick with some sunshine on Thursday, well into the 60s. Still a bit mild for your Friday as well. We'll have some opportunity for showers going into the weekend. More 60s, though, through Tuesday.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. It is being reported 3 vessels have been hit by Iranian fire in the Strait of Hormuz just hours after Trump extended the ceasefire. So this will be ongoing and something we'll keep you up to date on. Rick writes in, good morning, Frank. Good morning, Rick. I see the taco extended the ceasefire. Donald and Iran are never going to make a deal. The U.S. and Iran hate each other. So either go and finish blowing up what's left, or bring our troops home and do something that you promised your followers. Lower prices, lower inflation, and put America first. Not Venezuela, Iran, Cuba, Greenland, Canada, Panama Canal, and without a doubt, Israel. Remember us, the good old U.S. of A. Spend some money on the country, not on bombs or greed or takeovers or thievery, where Americans will earn our way. Thank you. Comment from a different viewer. My advice would be to vote Tucker Carlson out. Well, he's not a politician, just like Marjorie Taylor Greene isn't. She left her constituents in the lurch. Now Tucker's just a podcaster. So I would say tune in. Ken writes in, out of about 6.4 million registered voters in Virginia, about 3 million voted, less than half. Apparently, a majority of voters didn't care about giving the Democrats a supermajority of their delegates from their state. Sadly, that's the case. I mean, look at the numbers around here sometimes, how heartbreaking it is. When you start looking at, especially like for a special election or a primary scenario, where you're talking a handful of people going to the voting booth. So yeah, it's apparently that many people in Virginia today. Whatever happens, happens. A comment from a different viewer. I'd like to know what price tag looked like for the sellouts like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Tucker. Well, Tucker's always been that way. I mean, if you go back to his Crossfire days, he's a lot different than he was when he supported Trump, and now he's a lot different than when he supported Trump. I mean, it's just whatever's best for Tucker Carlson is the direction he's always going to head. By the way, Pennsylvania Democrats are reluctant to support Senator John Fetterman for re-election, according to a new report. Punchbowl News spoke to several Pennsylvania congressional members yesterday about whether they'd be willing to endorse Fetterman for another term in 2028. Quote, want a sense of how tenuous Senator John Fetterman's position is with Pennsylvania Democrats? Not a single Pennsylvania House Democrat in the delegation will say Fetterman should run for re-election as a Democrat. This is what happens when you have the audacity to go against the left's mindset and what they demand of you. Though the House members did not explicitly reject the idea of Fetterman running again, they avoided answering whether they believe Fetterman should seek a second term as a Democrat. My focus right now, and all their answers were, I got to focus on myself. How about this one? My concern is entirely about him and his health, and I'll let 2028 take care of itself. Wow, that's what happens when you stray even a little bit from the reservation. Oh, this was big news. If you're following this, Trump went against essentially the powers that be in the Republican Party of New York and ended up endorsing Anthony Costantino to replace Elise Stefanik when she retires at the end of her term. The president threw his weight behind ally Anthony Costantino, an eccentric upstate entrepreneur running against State Assemblyman Robert Smolin in the June primary. Trump saying, it's my great honor to endorse America First patriot Anthony Costantino, who is running to represent the fantastic people of New York's 21st Congressional District. Anthony is strongly supported by many of our most highly respected MAGA warriors in our movement, including Mayor Rudy Giuliani and Roger Stone. Anthony has been such a great supporter that he actually put up a somewhat controversial sign against strong opposition in my honor. The sign is still there, and if you remember that, it was quite the news piece at the time, the sign that he put up. It was a 200-foot pro-Trump sign. The endorsement flies in the face of New York's GOP establishment, including state party chairman Ed Cox and 12 of the 15 Republican committees in the 21st District who back Smolin for the seat. So big news. Oh, don't forget a couple quick things before we head out the door. They are now up to 80 employers registered for the job fair, which will be held today at SUNY CCC. If you're in a need for a job, you may want to switch your job. That is today from 11 a.m. till 2 p.m. at the Corning Community College Gymnasium on its Spencer Hill campus. So they're up to 80 employers. Wow, that's very impressive. Also, in Corning right here, don't forget the Sakura, the Rotary Cherry Blossom Trail. That celebration will take place today at noon. All right, that does it for today's edition of Frankly Speaking. Thank you, everybody who joined us. Thanks to all our guests, but we are out of time. We'll see you tomorrow morning, bright and early. Look forward to it already.
An accident can turn your life upside down in an instant. Pain, medical bills, time off work, it's overwhelming. And when you look to the insurance company for help, they don't see you. They don't see your family or what you've lost. To them, you're just a number, just dollars on a spreadsheet. Their job is to pay you as little as possible. At WDC Injury Law, we see the person behind the claim. We fight for your recovery, your future, and your peace of mind. If you've been hurt in New York, call 607-500-HURT.
I had to pack up all my things. I had to leave my home. And I never knew where I was going next. It felt like I never even had a say. But then you came along.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you. Learn how you can help at nationalcasagal.org.